You did not mishear me, folks. That is not a typo. That is not an exaggeration. 7 straight games. The Phillies now are with the second best record in all of baseball. If you would have told me that a month ago, I might have given you the side eye. But now, as we sit 2 days before the highly anticipated Memorial Day weekend in South Jersey, we are talking about a Phillies team that is one of the best in all of baseball. We'll get into that, plus the aftermath of the Eagles' Tush Bush victory. Get you guys text messages throughout the hour. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Just you and me this hour. I will respond to one texter earlier who was a little critical, I should say, of my take about Brandon Marsh. Plus, we already have one game in the books of both the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, so I'll give you some thoughts on that as well here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. But first, let's get to the Phillies, because that Phillies win was the kind of win that you like to see them get. Not because they beat a team they should beat, because, well, let's be realistic. There's a lot of teams you should beat in life. It's the fact that you have a team in the Phillies that, as I said, a month ago looked like they were in trouble. A month ago, the Phillies looked like a team that was struggling to find consistency, that was struggling to find their way. And it's not that they're perfect now, it's not that they have it all figured out, that they're great now. It's less about them being perfect and more about the Phillies finally finding their way. The Phillies are finally looking like a cohesive baseball team. And how many times have I told you guys here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, and we are live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. I am, as always, in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios in Atlantic City. This is a Phillies team that it's hard to judge them without hitting the first checkpoint. And I've told you guys for years here on 97.3 ESPN, I am a big believer in specific checkpoints of a baseball season. And the first one is Memorial Day weekend. And the reason why I never looked at what the Phillies were doing in April as the end-all, be-all, no matter how frustrated I get with Brandon Marsh or Nick Castellanos or other players, it's the reality that it's a long baseball season. And Todd Zalecki made the comment to Mike Gill. You heard it earlier today on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Because Philadelphia, the Philly sports fan, are such diehard football fans, there is a tendency to approach the baseball team with a football season approach. In football, every game has a much higher importance, a much higher value than the baseball season. When you have 17 regular season games in football versus 162 in baseball, there is always going to be a tendency that if you take a football approach and bring it to baseball, you're going to have moments of overreaction and lacking context. So, for me, I look at the Phillies season with the understanding that I can be frustrated about how they performed and I want them to do better and I can critique them, but I also understand that it doesn't change the reality that losing 2 out of 4 in April or, having a losing record after the first week or two of a season doesn't mean you cannot win moving forward. And I think one of the big stats that needs to be brought into this context has to do with Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper with another RBI double today. This is a guy who did something that I think a lot of people would say is frivolous and silly. But we have to give him credit. To you, it may seem frivolous and silly. But there is one factor. In the 17 games since Bryce Harper gave himself a buzz cut, he has 16 RBI. He has raised his batting average from 228 to 278. Bryce Harper has drove in 6 runs in 4 games versus the Rockies. And while we may joke about, oh yeah, whatever, he gave himself a haircut, whatever. Well, for whatever reason, it was enough of a change, of a reset for him to become the Bryce Harper that we expect him to be. Bryce Harper is the kind of player that you expect him to be a stud, to be a consistent RBI man, to be MVP Harper. This is a multiple-time MVP award winner, won one of those MVPs in a Phillies uniform. You expect him to be a catalyst in this lineup. For several weeks, we talked about, Kyle Schwarber's the better hitter on this team. But over the last 2.5 weeks, Harper has gone from being the guy who needs Kyle Schwarber's protection in the lineup to being a guy who doesn't need no one to be a great hitter. And I know people made fun of him when he first got the buzz cut, but for this guy, it worked. And baseball players are very quirky individuals. They are very superstitious. They are very, I can't do this, I have to do that, or I can't play well. And for whatever reason, Bryce Harper is a guy who, cutting off those long mane that he had on the top of his head, has mattered to him. And while he probably looks more like a villain now than he did before with the haircut, you know what? He's your villain, Philly fans. I mean, 16 RBI in 17 games, raising your batting average 50 points. Those are significant stats for the one and only Bryce Harper. Phillies win today 2-0. Winners of 7 straight. They now head out to Sacramento. Yes, you did not hear me incorrectly. This is not basketball season for the Sixers. No, this is the formerly Oakland Athletics are now the Athletics as they play the next couple of years in a minor league ballpark as they wait for their new ballpark in Las Vegas to be fully constructed and built. So you're going to go play another team in a minor league ballpark. You did it against Tampa a couple weeks ago, and you saw what happened in that series. You faced a not-so-good Tampa team, you swept them out. You went to the minor league park, you took them out. Now, you should be able to do the same thing to the Athletics. Your starting rotation this weekend, all winners. 3 of your best pitchers. Wheeler on Friday, Sanchez on Saturday, Luzardo on Sunday. In theory, if everything goes as planned, you should win at least 2 of those 3. And as a result, we should be heading into Memorial Day with a Phillies team that, in theory, okay, because of Wheeler and Luzardo at least, you should be 34-19 at Memorial Day, the first checkpoint of the season. That's a pretty darn good record to be heading into the month of June with. And they're going to need that record because the schedule gets a little wonky. You return home to face a Braves team that has found their way again. They're playing much better than they were earlier in the year. Then, after you play the Braves for 3 games, you're going to play a Milwaukee team that has been incredibly inconsistent. But Milwaukee is a team that is still dangerous because of the players they have on their team. And you're going to face a Brewers team next weekend that's got a familiar face with a hot bat right now. Don't look now, Philly fans. You're not going to be happy when I say this because I know you guys out there listening on 97.3 ESPN. Okay? Rhys Hoskins. He's batting .300 this year. He's got 7 home runs, 27 RBI. His OPS is over 900. And you got that guy coming to Citizens Bank Park next weekend. You better watch out for that guy. But once you get past Atlanta and Milwaukee, you go back on the road to Toronto, to Pittsburgh. And when you come back to Philadelphia, you got to play Chicago. So it's kind of a up and down schedule in terms of the talent you're facing. Braves, good team. Milwaukee, coin flip, what you're getting for them from night to night. Toronto, above average team. Pittsburgh, not so good team. Chicago, very good team. Home against Toronto, above average team. Then you go back on the road to Miami for 4 games in the middle of June. Then you come home for a ultra important series against the division rival Mets. So for the next month, for the next 4 weeks, you got a very interesting schedule. But if you could finish the job this weekend, you are going to be flying high heading into that off day on Memorial Day. We'll get your text on the other side, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We'll get your thoughts on the Phillies as they are surging right now heading into Memorial Day weekend. Plus, the aftermath is still happening with the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Tush Bush battle. There are some excellent insights from NFL insiders we're going to get to as well coming up here on the Power Hour known as Game Night. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Hey, get in.
What? Who are you?
I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, good boy.
She needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
2 guys drove to work. Neither guy wore a seatbelt. One guy got a ticket. One guy didn't. The same 2 guys drove home. One guy wore a seatbelt. One guy didn't. One guy made it home. The guy not wearing his seatbelt didn't. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We will start to see improving weather tonight into tomorrow. The weekend turns brighter, drier, and a little bit warmer. Still a few showers around tonight. It'll be chilly with a low of 50. Tomorrow, clouds with some sun. Spotty areas of drizzle are possible throughout the day, high 62. Partly sunny, breezy Saturday, still on the cool side, high 63. Sun and clouds on Sunday with a high of 68. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
It happens more than you think. A customer wants, needs the goods and services your business offers. No matter how hard they try, they can't find you, but they find your competitor right there at the top of the results page.
And even if they do find your website, when they click, it's like a ghost town.
Hello?
Outdated, not compelling, and perhaps worse, it has information that's not accurate.
Y2K? But how do you fix that? At Town Square Interactive, we have the tools to help you maximize your online presence. Just go to mylocalcustomers.com and start by getting a free local customer analysis.
This online tool will show you just how many customers in your area you could be reaching. To get in front of those customers, we will build a premium website for your business.
One that shows up well in web searches and converts website clicks into phone calls, appointments, and foot traffic.
It's simple, it's fast, and it's affordable. Go to mylocalcustomers.com and get started by getting your free local customer analysis today.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Check out the text board in just a bit, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. You know, with the Phillies winning, it does give us a little less to complain about. Although I will address, I still am not a believer in Brandon Marsh, even though he has played much, much better since he returned from his latest stint on the DL, okay? And listen, Mr. 305 is right that Brandon Marsh made up for his horrible play in the outfield earlier today by making a run-saving catch in the 8th. I don't deny that Brandon Marsh is capable of being a very good baseball player. I don't deny that at all. He is a phenomenal athlete. He is very physically gifted as an athlete. And he seems to be the kind of guy that when he's playing well, it becomes a domino effect and he plays well in every facet of his game. But man, we're talking about a guy who He started the season, all right, his first 17 games, he had a .095 batting average, 16 strikeouts. He was striking out almost once per game to start the year. Now, look, I get it. Since he returned from his injury, he is now batting .368. He has cut the strikeouts in half since he came back. He has been a much more impactful bat. But there's no reality where you could tell me that you are going to win a championship with Brandon Marsh patrolling center field and hoping he plays well, hoping he takes the right angle. This is a man who was directly responsible for 5 losses last year by the Phillies because of his poor play in the outfield. So I will not accept under any circumstances this idea that just because Brandon Marsh redeemed himself today means I'm just going to automatically be on board with him. All right? I just can't. I can't be that guy. So yes, you're right. He had a moment in the game where he redeemed himself. But to me, it means nothing. All right, let's get to the Eagles because we are now in the time of aftermath, right? It's the aftermath of what happened yesterday. And there's some NFL insiders' perspectives on what happened yesterday. And the two biggest contrasts have to do with how we got the Tush Bush saved and what it means for the Eagles moving forward. And I thought that this explanation, let's first start with ESPN's Jeremy Fowler explaining about the contrast between Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie, who reportedly spoke for 35 to 40 minutes yesterday's owners meeting, compared to Jason Kelce in his 5 minutes. Take a listen.
Kelsey's definitely not unretiring, but he was a factor today. Talking to people around the building, they said that the meetings in here were tense, especially with owner Jeffrey Lurie and his impassioned speech. Well, Kelsey came after him and brought a bit of levity to the situation. His discussion was football only. He broke down the Tush Bush plays. He highlighted how it is not an injury risk at all from his vantage point.
And you heard Kelsey yesterday. We played the Bites from New Heights where he says that, he's never been injured on the play. He can run the play 80 times and be fine. And, what's interesting about all of this is that you could argue that Kelce might have saved the Tush Bush. Because apparently, according to reports, a lot of the owners were very adversarial towards Jeffrey Lurie and what he had to say yesterday. And, as one texter chimed in, and he says, at 609-403-0973, so I had to say Troy Vincent has dropped on the list of one of my favorite Eagle players. How can he fight against Tush Bush and then call out Lurie, who paid him good money when he played for the Eagles? Well, the reason why Troy Vincent called out Lurie is because Troy Vincent tried to take the moral high ground and try to act like what Jeffrey Lurie said was ridiculous. As Diana Rossini explains, a lot of people took umbrage with Jeffrey Lurie's speech yesterday.
It was a little bit like he was having like an argument with his girlfriend and trying to make a point. And then Kelce walked up and he was a little bit more measured. And he talked about why the play should stay. And I had a few people that were in the room say, Kelce was unbelievable.
So, you see how part of the reason why Troy Vincent said what he said, and I'm not going to repeat the one thing Jeffrey Lurie said. I know other radio shows and programs are, but I don't feel comfortable with it because I think that Lurie went too far, okay? He got a little nutty yesterday. He went a little over the top, but sometimes it's not about what you say, but seeing how people react to what you say is more important. I think you're right, Texter. It's less about what Lurie had to say, with the fact that Troy Vincent went out of his way to turn this into a Jeffrey Lurie doesn't respect women kind of thing. Or, the Eagles are being ridiculous in their position on the tush push. And it just feels like you're right. Troy Vincent has definitely been knocked down a notch. But you heard Diana Rossini say it there from The Athletic, and the Athletic's NFL Insider. It's understanding that you have an NFL team in the Eagles with an owner who is not known for being overtly vocal and passionate, being so aggressive yesterday that it was off-putting to the point where 49ers owner Jed York came out and told the Eagles owner he's full of bleep. So there was a lot of people who took umbrage to what Lurie had to say. But I do think that one of the reasons why the Eagles got this passed is when Jeffrey Lurie said this to the other owners, as Diana Rossini explains on the Scoop City podcast, I think this was the moment that Jeffrey Lurie ensured that the more independent of the NFL owners joined his side. Take a listen.
Something Jeffrey Lurie said, we are not members here. We are owners. On how, we are owners, not members, right? So I was thinking of like a golf club, right? Like they don't have to do what they're being told to do. They get to make the decision. They can decide. And I think that stood out with a lot of owners.
Yeah.
We need to do what we believe in.
And that's a powerful message from the owner of the Eagles, because what is the way to get other rich men to your side? Okay, these are all billionaires. These are all men who are wealthy beyond you and my wildest dreams, okay? Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN. All of you listening out there on the radio or on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, or you're catching the show on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. All of us don't know what it's like to be a billionaire, okay? People like Jeffrey Lurie have money beyond our wildest imagination. But one of the benefits of being that rich is knowing how to appeal to someone who is in your financial demographics. And Jeffrey Lurie turns to men who he has a plethora of differences with politically, okay? Jeffrey Lurie and men like Stephen Ross of the Miami Dolphins, Woody Johnson of the Jets. Those men politically stand on the other side of the aisle of Jeffrey Lurie. Steve Bisciotti of the Ravens, same deal. These are individuals who do not align with Jeffrey Lurie's politics, but he said, look, I'm going to appeal to you as another rich man. We pay Roger Goodell's salary. I don't want you telling me, Roger Goodell, what I should or shouldn't do. Because the problem is, as Diana Rossini documents, there are some NFL owners who are willing to be told what to do by the NFL commissioner.
It started to get out that Roger Goodell did not like it. He thought the play was ugly, thought it kind of resembled rugby. And I think that's when it became a bigger issue, because a lot of owners want to make sure they're in line with what Roger Goodell wants to do. That's the dynamics sometimes. So I do think some teams tend to lean on that side of it.
Some do. But there are others who don't want to be told what to do. You don't tell somebody to do whatever you want when you are the person paying their paycheck. And you heard Rob Motti last night on 97.3 ESPN right here. He told us right here on game night that there was supposed to be a vote on Roger Goodell's financial compensation. And Rob said they tabled that conversation because a lot of the owners just wanted to get out of Dodge. They wanted to be done with it. The tush push was so intense. It was such a aggressive, intense debate that the owners were like, I don't even want to be here anymore. They wanted out. And there's probably some of them who blame Roger Goodell. There's some of them who say, you know what, Roger, this is your problem. You didn't want this. You put us in a position we had to be in this situation. I want to go back to my beautiful home and see my family and enjoy Memorial Day weekend. And I don't want to worry about what Roger Goodell wants. Because I think this is the moment that maybe signals the end of Goodell's tenure as commissioner. Rich men don't like being told by lesser rich men what to do. More from the athletic NFL insider Diana Rossini on the Scoop City podcast.
The teams that didn't vote for it, from the ones that I've spoken to this morning of why'd you make this decision, most of it was because they also have that attitude. It shouldn't be banned because you can't stop it. I had one person say that it was a vote about process more than what was right. People don't like that the NFL is telling people how to vote, right? So you have some of that in there.
And I think that's a big reason why Woody Johnson, Robert Kraft, Stephen Ross, these owners who are very, very wealthy men who are also very stubborn men, took the Eagles' side. Steve Bisciotti is another one. He's a bit stubborn. He's a bit rough around the edges when it comes to being an owner in the NFL. You notice the teams that voted for this were typically the teams that go along to get along, right? They're the owners who typically, they're not really there to rock the boat. Arthur Blank, he's not the most demonstrative guy, right? Dave Tepper, he's a bit of a hothead, but not with the rest of the NFL. He's a hothead with his own fan base, which is just ridiculous to say. John Mara, he's part of the old guard. Art Rooney, they're part of the old guard. These are owners who, they're not really there to be mavericks or be radicals or change the world, No, it's owners who have a little bit more of an independent streak. They're the ones who voted with the Eagles. And so, and by the way, Shad Khan, another one. Shad Khan is a business owner who is a bit of an independent streak. So a lot of these owners looked at Jeffrey Lurie and was like, yeah, it's us against Goodell. That's why we're doing this. And as Jeremy Fowler goes on to say, it looks like Jason Kelce might have been the biggest key of all in yesterday's tush push vote.
He said that Jalen Hurts is going to continue to get those first downs, whether he's pushed or not. The offensive line is just that good. So that was pretty refreshing for the owners to just hear the football standpoint. Steelers president Art Rooney told me that he thought that Kelce might have even swayed a few voters based on what he said today.
Now, Kelce obviously didn't sway Art Rooney because Art Rooney still voted against it. Because I think people like Art Rooney II went into this meeting already, some of these owners are already predetermined what they were going to do. But apparently there were some people still on the fence. And as Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, explained to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, that basically, look, he was in a position where he had to make a decision. Am I voting against the play or am I voting against my divisional rival? And I thought this was a very candid answer by the Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones.
Any play that's out of the ordinary gets some extra scrutiny just because of the competition in there. And so all of that, I think, is that's the fun part of having these meetings. And here we are, the world champion is the main focus of the tush push. And here we are debating it and having to decide, well, They thought, well, am I really against the Tush Bush or just don't want Philadelphia to have an edge? And I sit there and fight that, too, and smile when they're making a presentation.
Incredibly candid answer from Jerry Jones. That really gives you an insight on what the owners are sitting there thinking. Because remember, all the NFC East teams voted against Philadelphia. They voted against their rival. But all of these AFC teams, right? Ravens, Browns, Jags, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Titans. 7 of the 9 teams that voted with Philadelphia are all in the other conference. They are not rivals of Philadelphia. They don't look at this as I don't want Philadelphia to win. They're just like, well, this seems ridiculous. And as a texter chimes in, they didn't leave their name. Anonymous says at 609-403-0973 says, any team can do this tush push. I don't get it. The complaining is absolute garbage. And you're 100% right, it's absolute garbage because the stats show that the Eagles are actually the 4th best team in the NFL when it comes to short yardage success last season. On 3rd and 4th downs of 1 yard or less to gain for a first down, the Philadelphia Eagles had the 3rd best conversion rate in the NFL. Number 1 was the Washington Commanders. Number 2 was the Buffalo Bills. And number 3 is the Denver Broncos. So you have 3 teams who all voted against Tush Push, who all had a higher level of success on short yardage situations, with a play that some of them ran like the Eagles. They executed it better than the Eagles, but they just want it gone. And that's how you know this was all about the Eagles. This had nothing to do with the play itself. There is a bias against the Eagles. You heard Jeffrey Lurie say it. You know the owners are thinking it. And for whatever reason, it just proves the point. They don't like us. We don't care. One more text squeeze in here before we wrap up the segment here on 609-403-0970. Bill in Upper Township a little bit earlier says, I think the majority of the league wanted it out because the Eagles won a championship with the play, and many of these teams can't stop it. I think the argument of injury is a lie. It is. And it's been proven that there's no injury risk. And Kelsey's point is that, and Jeffrey Lurie's point is that you're less likely to get injured on this play than other plays. And they're 100% right, because the majority of injuries are injuries that result from high-speed collisions, the concussions, many of the knee injuries, many of the shoulder injuries, the clavicle bone injuries. A lot of these injuries don't happen in close quarters. They happen when guys are running full speed ahead and make massive contact on big hits. So if you are Philadelphia, you have to remember that the NFL is just not happy with you. They don't like you. But that's okay. It's okay if they don't like us. Why should we care? All right, more of your texts coming up on the other side. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we are live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Business owners everywhere are raving about ZipRecruiter's new feature, Zip Intro, which does the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates to meet with you as soon as the next day. So we decided to call up some of these employers and hear their stories. Today, we're on the phone with Pilates studio owner Crystal M. Harris. Crystal, how has Zip Intro helped you hire?
Well, I was opening a Pilates studio in McDonough, Georgia, and I needed to staff up quickly. Zip Intro did the work for me. It helped me find enthusiastic candidates who matched my qualifications perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, I had my Zip Intro session on Tuesday, did all the interviews by Thursday, sent out the offers on Friday, and they started on Monday. Because Zip Intro did most of the work, I saved so much time.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, you can try Zip Intro for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Hey guys, it's Mike Gill for Game Day Men's Health in Egg Harbor Township, where they're defining a new era in men's health. 1 in 4 men over 30 in the U.S. have low testosterone levels. Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, what are you waiting for? Get to Game Day Men's Health in Egg Harbor Township and get a customized game plan. Game Day Men's Health delivers premium testosterone replacement therapy, removes the stigma around erectile dysfunction, and supports weight loss with medical treatments and vitamin therapy. Fast appointments, expert guidance, and a free testosterone test and consultation with an on-site lab for results in just 15 minutes. Get stronger, get healthier, feel like your old self, and get back in the game. You'll wish you did it sooner. So why wait? Call Game Day Men's Health in Egg Harbor Township, 609-365-7088, or visit them on English Creek Avenue in EHT. And GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you for a special offer.
It's time to make your yard the best on the block with Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot. Start by keeping the weeds at bay with Earthgrow mulch, now 4 for $10. Then keep your garden thriving with Miracle-Gro garden soil, now on special buy, 4 for $10. Give your neighbors yard envy all summer long with Memorial Day savings going on now at the Home Depot.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local restaurants.
Tuckahoe Inn Restaurant, come join the good times. Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall, great beer, killer eats, unmatched vibes. Island Grill Restaurant, serving fresh, delicious seafood favorites in Ocean City for 30 years.
Thank you for supporting these great local restaurants.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Before we get back to the text board at 609-403-0973, I do see Steve from Ventnor chiming in about the Phillies conversation we were having a little bit earlier. I did want to hit on the Eastern and Western Conference Finals because last night you saw the Knicks suffer at the hand of the Pacers what actually the Knicks did to the Celtics in the previous round. And it's an incredible example in the sports world of how we have an understanding of who's good, who's bad, but we overlook how styles make fights. And in the last series, the Knicks were very well equipped to make life difficult for the Boston Celtics. the Indiana Pacers are well equipped to make life difficult for the Knicks and the Cavaliers. And here's why. The Indiana Pacers have the type of athletes in their front court that makes it less easy for teams like the Cavs and the Knicks to run the offenses they want to run consistently. Part of the reason why the Knicks got to a big lead last night, 17 points, I believe, was because the Knicks were a team that got to a hot shooting game. But then as soon as Jalen Brunson got in foul trouble, as soon as the game started going a little sideways, right? As soon as that happened, they were in trouble. And what I find interesting about this is that I feel like in the sports world, we don't always ask the why it happens. We just accuse the other team of, you failed, you choked, you're a loser. And I don't think we give enough credit to the fact that, yes, did the Knicks choke away a lead? In the most literal sense, yes, they did. But how about we give credit to the other team, too? The Pacers stayed in that game. They fought back into it. Tooth and nail. They made that game worth watching. And for me, I think that the Pacers deserve a ton of credit. They are a team that was very well built. They have a championship-winning coach in Rick Carlisle, who has done a good job pretty much everywhere he's been in the NBA. And so, to me, I still think this is going to be a long series. I still think this is going to go 6-7 games. But man, when you look at this Knicks-Pacers series, you realize that, like the last series, the Pacers winning that first game, like the Knicks winning the first game, is a clear sign that this is not going to be an easy cakewalk for either team. That if you're the team that gives up the big lead, you've exposed how vulnerable you are. And if you're the team that fought back from the big deficit, you show that you are not going to be a pushover. And what I'm fascinated to find out as we move through both of these series is which team is going to be the one that shows themselves less vulnerable to pressure. Pressure is always going to be there, but how it impacts you, how it affects you, is what makes a difference with a lot of these teams. And remember, you have 4 teams in the conference finals who have not won any championships in the recent decades. Not years, decades. The Knicks have won a championship in the early 1970s. Pacers never won an NBA championship. ABA championship, but not an NBA championship. You have a team in Oklahoma City, in their history in Oklahoma, they never won a championship. Their previous iterations of the Seattle Supersonics won in the late 1970s. And then Minnesota has only been around since the mid-90s, the franchise. They've never even been to an NBA Finals. So someone is going to have an opportunity to win their first championship. And all the stars in this series, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, these players have never won championships. So we're going to find out what these players are made of, what this team is going to be worth long term in this series. Very, very fascinating. All right, back to the Phillies talk on the text board. Stephen Benner chimes in at 609-403-09. Something we're replying to our Phillies conversation. He says, Josh, players like Luis Roberts and Mike Trout are probably the only 2 available players who are underperforming but could come here and be part of a deep lineup and go off. They probably won't cost more than an average package of prospects with maybe a sweetener. Well, a couple things there. One, I have zero interest in Luis Roberts. Okay? This is a guy who has a long history of injuries. I have zero interest in a guy who is 27 years old who can't stay healthy consistently. Actually, doesn't he turn 28 this year? Let me double check. Yeah, he turns 28 in 2 months. The man has had one healthy season his entire career, Steve. I have zero interest in a guy who can't stay healthy. The only redeeming value of Roberts Jr. is that he's right-handed. And if you think that getting a right-handed bat in the lineup could help, maybe, okay? The Mike Trout thing is interesting, not because I think it's going to happen, but because Trout looks like Mike Trout in certain games, and in other games, he looks like he's lost as a hitter. He is averaging one of the highest rates of strikeouts per game of his career. And he's still hitting bombs. He's got 9 home runs on the year. So he is the literal definition of boom or bust right now. And at 33 years old, it, at least for me, clearly looks like the injuries he has sustained over the last few years have really derailed his timing, his discipline as a hitter, his ability to see what is coming at times. And I would be curious to see what he would look like if he was on a contending team where you're not asking him to be the player that he is right now. You're not asking him to be the centerpiece stud of a team. You know, you can get away with in this lineup batting Trout, 6, 7, or 8, or 9. Whereas with the Angels, he has to be in the middle of the lineup. He has to be counted on, depended on. The problem with any of these guys is always has been and always will be, what does the other team want for the guy? And are they going to try to rake you over the coals for it? Because whether you or I think it's easy to get Mike Trout, doesn't matter what we think. It matters what the Angels think. This is an Angels team that has made trades with the Phillies before. One trade worked out for the Phillies. One trade worked out for the Angels. Remember, Logan Hoppe is having a monster season for the Los Angeles Angels right now. You traded him away. Are you willing to give the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, such a long name, are you willing to give them a player knowing that the last time you gave them a young player, they won the deal? It is something to think about, okay? Or do you use their success in making deals with you against them and say they think they're going to get a fast one on us, but they're not? Remember, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, for a team with a losing record, is still within very simple range of the American League wildcard. They are only 2.5 games out. They are a good winning streak, a good month of June away from being right back in that wild card. So if you're going to give something up to the Angels, you got to give something up of significance. Now, Steven Ventnor on the text board, the trade that he talks about, okay, is the idea, and I got to scroll up because, Steve loves blowing up our text over here, okay? Got lots of thoughts, lots of ideas. So, he mentions the idea of a Mick Abel with Rincona's package. So the only problem with that package is, one, are we really sure we want to give up Mick Abel for a 33-year-old outfielder who is past his prime? I don't mind giving up Rincona at some point, but I want more than, as you're suggesting, Trout and Detmers. I think Detmers is a waste of a player right now. I still see value in Mike Trout as a hitter. But I don't want to give up Abel for that guy. I want to give up Abel for someone who's going to be a real intense lockdown pitcher. And right now, when you look around the sport, I would give up Mick Abel for a Mason Miller, the stud young closer for the A's. But I don't want to give him up for Mike Trout, just because of the fact that I think Mike Trout because of his contract, because he's no longer the megastar he used to be. I just feel like giving up Abel is too much. And if the Angels demand too much, then you just tell them, well, you can pay Mike Trout. That's at least how I look at it. Yeah, I just have no faith in Denver's. I know. I don't care who the coaching staff is. All right, thanks everybody for the texts. Thanks everybody for listening on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We'll be back tomorrow for the final show before Memorial Day weekend. Oh boy. It's the start of the summer season here in South Street. Hope you're all ready for it. It's supposed to clear up this weekend at least a little bit. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night, 97.3 ESPN.